Hello, my friends. It's Andy over at the COVID-19 Live TV show. Wow, I had a hell of a time trying to get on tonight. It took me about half an hour to come on live. I had people calling me like crazy, which for whatever reason, all the phone calls come through my computer, and I'm trying to stop the phone calls because for some reason I couldn't log into Facebook. I'm not sure what happened, but had to recreate a password, had to do a bunch of stuff, and then another phone call would come in that would kick me out of the thing. Wow. So whoever was calling, I'm sorry that I kept hanging up on you or ignoring your call, but I was trying to get the show started because there is some things happening, right? We have death, we have separation, divorce, and we have the quarantine. And this is happening to a large number of people here in our world, not just the United States of America. And I just realized how low I am. My kids love to lower the seat. And they lower it so that I don't abide by my own rules, where you need to have an apple between the top of your head and the top of the frame. Almost, that's close enough. What can I do? All right. So I want to come on and talk a little bit about death, separation, divorce, and quarantine, because it has to be causing stress with some people. I know it is with me. Today, I don't know if you know this, but I've been going through divorce now. We're going on our 4th year in this divorce. It has not been fun. It has not been healthy. It has not been happy, but I've tried to stay focused on one thing, and that is the future. It's the future of my kids. It's the future of me and all that kind of stuff. And I try to put all of the nastiness behind me, all the hatred and all the stuff, right? And so I'm not coming on to talk about all that, but I'm going to tell you a few facts. A few facts are that you can sometimes, like today with me, with the situation I'm in, that you think, wow, how is it that I ever even liked that person, much less loved that person enough to, I think about the dating CD that you make, right? When you want to give it to them and it has all these songs on it that are so meaningful that remind you of that person. And you think about the dates you went on, and you think the places that you went, and the things that you thought that were going to happen with your marriage that never happened. You're going, wait a minute, what the hell happened? So I'm going to talk about these things right now. So let me talk to Nabuko. Nice to see you, Nabuko, from Japan. Nice to see you. I'm glad you're here. Good mining. All right. And so you have these moments, right, when you're dating and you meet these people for the first time, and you're thinking, wow, and you think, well, she's hot or he's hot, and everything they say is cute, and everything that they do is cute and fun and makes you laugh and that kind of stuff. And then quite often those things that used to make you giggle and think how cute they were now annoy you and become like, what the hell? Other than Lisa Marie, who I love. Lisa Marie. Thank you, Lisa Marie. Nice to see you. What has been going on, Lisa? I miss you. We need to go to another concert, as a matter of fact, see another Trained concert. All right. So you have these things that are going on with your life, right? In regard to people that you used to love and all this kind of stuff. So you got that. You got, I know that people that I've heard from in my world on either Facebook or, just around this neighborhood, that I'm suddenly finding that they're going through now a separation and will be divorced after this quarantine is over, because the divorce courts are over or are closed. And so I have people that are going through that. I just had a colleague of mine at the Anaheim Police Department. I just learned that he passed away yesterday. He just got diagnosed with cancer. It seems like just like 2 or 3 days ago. I saw a post saying, hey, he got diagnosed with cancer. And then yesterday he's gone. And I think about he and his wife, who I work with both of them, and think about how much fun we used to have on the street and the calls we would go on and the bad guys that my dog would bite. And then we would take him into custody and take him to the hospital. And, it was fun. It's fun chasing bad guys. And I know that a lot of people don't understand law enforcement. They don't understand nurses necessarily. They don't understand our humor. And, when we get in a shooting and we laugh about it, or, there's a dead body and we flip who's going to put the toe tag on when the coroner gets there, or who's going to take the fingerprint of the dead body and, take their dead finger and put it on the thing. And I know that makes no sense to people, but if you were a cop, if you are a nurse in an emergency room, if you are a doctor that deals with tragedy on a daily basis, there has to be this little bit of sense of humor that goes along with your world, or you'll go crazy. You won't be able to sleep at night. You won't be able to go home, and you'll take it home with your family, and you have to be able to see death and destruction, people cutting people's heads off and shooting people in the head, people committing suicide as you're talking to them, children that are being abused and neglected, and you see that on a daily basis, and then you have to be able to go home and say, I love you, honey, and give the kids a kiss and go night and put them to bed. And so I know that there's a little bit of a disconnect. So there's certain things that I say and that kind of stuff. So we have this family of law enforcement officers that we worked with, and I find out that this gentleman who I used to work with and at some point became a sergeant, and I don't know that I ever worked for him. I don't think directly. I think maybe at the stadium, Anaheim Stadium, or the Pond, or and the Honda Center, but it used to be called the Pond. That there's maybe a period of time where I worked underneath, but we were always, colleagues and friends, and did SWAT together, where we would be on helicopters and rappelling off the helicopter off a wall, off the top of a 10-story building or something like that. And we would do these things together. And you trust one another, right? You trusted one guy to hold the rope, or you're rappelling off of a helicopter, you're rappelling off of a multi-story building, and that guy at the bottom is somebody that you either have a good relationship with, maybe you've been through the wedding, maybe you just know them from the police department. But I can always trust Ben, the officer that passed away, as being a guy you could trust. If I ever went on a call and he was there, I would not worry. There's other times where you're on a call with somebody and you think, I need to call somebody else because I can't trust this person that's with me. That happens all the time. Do not think that every law enforcement officer gets along with every other law enforcement they work with. Every so often you go on a call and you're assigned by the luck of the draw that this next person that's available is going to be the worst person you want to be on a call with, that's involving an armed suspect, that's involving a combative suspect. Not every officer you go on a call with do you trust your life with. But this person who passed away the other day, I could trust him always. And so I want to have this first toast. You should probably never do a Facebook Live other than during quarantine, and a Facebook Live involving death, separation, and divorce. And so you have a drink. This is 1702 or 1792 is the whiskey here. I'm going to open up a beer here that you're going to love. It's a Boddington. If you've never had a Boddington, you're going to want to have it. This show has a purpose. I'm going to get to it in 1 second. Let me go ahead and open up this Boddington and open this up. And this is all a toast to my friend who passed away. And so there's this other thing that I probably should have put in there, in that there is friendships and people that you've known through your life that you don't see. You don't take time to find out, hey, how are you? You never call them. So you retire from the police department. You retire from a place where Lisa works, which is a senior living transitional location, right? That you may work with for 10, 15, 21 years. I'm going to say Ben, and I work together. That after that ends, right, one of us retires or somebody, gets injured and leaves, and then you no longer talk to these people. And you think, fudge, why didn't I ever reach out and say, hey, how you doing? How is your family doing? I find out now that he has teenage and adult children that are graduating from high school and college and that kind of stuff. I know his wife, and now I'm connecting with her. And now we're friends on Facebook, and never took the time and said, hey, how are you guys doing? What's going on? Is there anything I can help you with? That kind of stuff. Those things don't happen. But here now I'm going to bring it all together. I'm going to try to bring it all together. So here we have people that are going through separation. We have people that are going through divorce. We have people that are dying, and we have spouses, that have their spouse that have now passed away, or children that are going through cancer, which I'm seeing all over the place. And we are in this this time in our history where things are unsure. People are losing jobs. I was making a great income before this pandemic hit, and I've lost every one of my customers, lost every one of my clients, and I've reached out to the SBA SBA Association, Small Business Association, and heard nothing. I've reached out to Wells Fargo, heard nothing other than the initial reply that says, "You're in the queue." Hello? Crickets, right? Nothing after I'm in the queue. And so there's so much going on. And I think that this is one time, and I've talked about this a lot on the Facebook Live TV show that I run, is that this is an opportunity. This is not, woe is me, we're going to die and it's going to be horrible and we're never going to recover and the economy is going to crap and blah, blah, blah. We could sit here and whine about all this crap that's going on. And now in this message, we have death that just happened, right? I have a friend that I worked with who died yesterday. I'm going through divorce. It's a nasty divorce. Today was a horrible day in that aspect of our trying to get through this. It's going to make things worse moving forward. All right. So you have that. You have other people that I know that have recently separated just in the last 3 or 4 weeks during the quarantine. I don't know that the quarantine made it worse or that it was just happens that fall during this period of time, but I know people that are going through divorce and separation at this very time. The thing is, this is an opportunity to come out of it in the end on a positive note, right? What are we going to do to make a choice? We personally have the choice, right? We can sit here and blame the other person. Earlier today, I was blaming the other person. I'm going to tell you right now, right? I'm blaming the other person that said, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be in this situation. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be blah. If it wasn't for you, our children X or Y or Z, right? If we can spend all of our time in this pandemic of sitting here in these 4 walls of our home with not being able really to leave, at least not for now, but it's coming soon. I know it is. And then on the other end, we could be more bitter than we were before we started this pandemic. Or you can momentarily blame the other person for something like I did this morning, and then come out of it later on today and say, all right, I got that off my chest. I got that out of my system. I'm going to have a couple beers. I'm going to have this Boddington, which has one of these, which has one of those, marbles inside of it, which makes it, it's kind of like a Guinness, but it's a Boddington. It's a very good beer. It's a very smooth beer. And then have a shot or a drink of a whiskey. And that's okay. Now, I'm going to make a choice. The choice is that we move forward. I'm going to move forward with the information that I have to create the best relationship that I can possibly have with my children. All right, maybe I can't agree with maybe some of the decisions my adult children made, but what is it that I can do now? What is it that I can reach out to them and say, you know what, let's reboot. Let's meet for dinner. Let's meet for lunch. Let's meet on the phone as long as this pandemic's going. If you can't meet with them because of maybe you are, one of those people that can't take a chance, whatever it is, let's connect on a Zoom, on a StreamYard, on a Facebook Live. And you can make the choice to say, let's do something different. Let's figure out how it is that we can rebuild our relationship. I don't know that with my ex that we were ever rebuild everything. And so it's been a lot of years. I was going to say 4, but it's more like 7 years that we've really despised one another. There's no doubt, right? And she may have reasons to despise me, and I may have reasons to despise her. It doesn't matter. But I know for the last 7 years, we've literally despised each other. But we have 4 fantastic kids together. That's the thing that we know for sure that we can agree on, right? We have these kids that are amazing. Each one of them have their own personality. Each one of them have their own strengths and their own weaknesses. Wow, that whiskey kicked in. Weaknesses. One, we think is going to do this, and we have another one we think is going to do that. We have all that stuff going on. The one thing we can agree on, we want them to grow up to be amazing, incredible people. That's one thing we agree on. So where is it we can find the common ground with all that kind of stuff? How can I put what happened earlier today aside and then move forward? One of them is to have that moment, right? You're all have permission to have that moment where you can choose to say, I'm allowed to be angry and mad. I can be angry that my colleague from the Anaheim Police Department passed away yesterday from cancer. We seem to have more police officers at Anaheim Police Department dying of cancer than any other police department that I know of. Well, we went through a reconstruction of our police department where there was asbestos found in the walls, and we all continue to work and walk through the hallways and do all that kind of stuff while they were reconstructing this whole police department for a couple of years. It wasn't something that happened it happened over years, this reconstruction of this building, and we heard that there is an asbestos issue. And we continue to work through the hallways and go to work and that kind of stuff. The good news, during that period of time, I was in Canine, and I did not spend as much time in the building as probably most of the people. I am hoping that the cancer that I have is not related to that, and maybe not as serious as the others. I still do have cancer, but it's not merely as bad as everybody else's, right? So we can hope that we don't have to experience, what some of my colleagues have been experiencing. I'm telling you, we have an extraordinarily amount of police officers in Anaheim Police Department that have either are suffering from cancer or have died from cancer. We have some that have committed suicide during the treatment of cancer, and some beautiful women. It's gorgeous. The one police officer, gorgeous woman that I would have married and dated if I would have had the opportunity, that got cancer and committed suicide. Just a wonderful person. And that's one of the most, anybody that met this person would have said, that is one of the greatest people I've ever met in my life. And then in the end, she took her own life because she couldn't take it. And that is, and we've been on calls together and homicides together and, shootings in progress types of calls together. She became a motor officer and, did so many great things in her career, ended her life because she could not go through another treatment of, involving cancer. So as we come through separation, divorce, death, challenges with our children, that kind of stuff, we have an opportunity during this quarantine to research, learn, to reconnect, to step back and say, what is it that I can do differently over the next couple of weeks, as we are not able to work, as we are not able to do much else, but spend time with the people that we need to reconnect with and figure out how it is we can change this direction that we may all be in. Again, I don't know. It would be great. Today was one of the heights for me, and I just want to share with you. And I have this opportunity because I'm here alone. None of my children are here. I have this opportunity to sit here and come online with millions of people, even though only 8 of you are watching currently. I had 22 people on earlier. I lost more than half my audience as I went into further detail with this stuff. But as I move forward, and some of you may be watching this replay, and saying, "Wow, there is some stuff happening." I know I have these great neighbors and friends in Australia, and then locally just down the street and that kind of stuff that I know that I can reconnect with and reach out to and say, let's have a couple of drinks and have a couple of laughs. But what about the deeper relationships with the people that really count, our children, and figure that out? I may have said some stuff this morning that was not, nice. Because you get in the situation, you get pushed and that kind of stuff. This happens to all of us. I know that this doesn't happen to me, and I know I'm not the only one where this happens to. But this morning, you get pushed in such a direction where you just want to say, the F word or the S word or the dang word or whatever it is. But then it's okay. Now what? Now you've got that off of your chest. Now you can choose. And again, this is the whole point of this message. You can choose and now go darker and sadder and become depressed and build on your anxieties and that kind of stuff, or you need medication, that kind of stuff. Or you can say, all right, I got that off my chest. Now, how is it I'm going to move forward and take this in a, entirely new direction? I fortunately had the opportunity to clean out my garage. You look through boxes, you find pictures, which I did today. You find pictures by accident. You find pictures with people that you used to be in a relationship with that you're no longer in a relationship with. You find pictures of the children when they were tiny little babies. I find pictures of me at the police department with my canine. I find news clippings. I find videotapes VHS tapes where it says, Andy on the news with Disney Channel, Andy on the news. All that stuff I found today. And you think back, gosh, such a life, right? Such a life. It's such a life that I should not dwell on the things that are horrible. Because in most cases, we've all had things in our life that are fantastic. The birth of the kids are all fantastic, right? Did you find the black book? I do have a couple black books. I actually found a couple cards from some past stuff. I found some pictures that I would never, ever be able to show anybody. I found some stuff. Yes, I found some stuff. Oh, David, with your brother and other stuff. Yeah. And so how is it? Oh, I miss you too, Lisa. And I don't know if you're still on. I may have lost you a long time ago. April. April and her Senate. Look at her in the Senate desk there, the podium there. And so as we move forward, we as all you and my friends, Dave Pacino. Oops, I saw. David Everett. Sorry, as that Dave Pacino was on Polaroids. Yeah, I actually. I have a Polaroid. I mean, I'm gonna tell you that I found a Polaroid. So in my area that I used to work were a couple of strip clubs. So there was this famous stripper, but also a porn star, and she saw my police car and she put her hands on my car and did spread eagle. She said, "Please frisk me." And then one of my friends took a picture. And of course that picture ended up all over the police department. And I was I went like this. I didn't want to go like this, but I did like this. And that picture made it all. And that Polaroid is somewhere to be found. It might've been David's sister. Yeah. But it wasn't. It wasn't David's sister. That was back in the 90s, as a matter of fact, 90 something or other, whenever that was. But yeah, but you would have to go to all these places all the time. All that kind of stuff would happen. The life of law enforcement was kind of crazy. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day about what's the basketball player's name that had the piercings all over his face? What's his name? He went to Korea. Shoot. Anyway, he and I had a couple run-ins because he used to love a bar in Anaheim that I used to be in my area, and I'd run into him all the time. And he knew my name, and he would always want to jump over my police car, or he'd want to challenge me to a fight. And I would just laugh at him. I go, "Why would I fight you? Why would I let you jump over my police car?" It just doesn't make any sense because something bad's going to happen. Rodman, thank you. Dennis Rodman. So Dennis Rodman was constantly in Anaheim at oh my gosh, what's the name of the bar over there by Anaheim? Shoot. It was only there like my entire career. It was had 5 different names while I was there. The Cowboy Boogie. So it was a Cowboy Boogie, and he was there all the time. And it was before it was a Cowboy Boogie, it was something else. And then we just called it the Boogie. And so he was always there. He hung out in Brea too. And so, yeah, just this guy, he was just one of those guys. I don't even know where I was going with that story. But anyway, just the life of the people you would meet, the things you would run into, the calls you would go to, the jokes you would make, that kind of stuff. I think that's the one thing as being a police officer that teaches you is that you cannot take this stuff home with you, and you cannot allow it to run your life or ruin your life, because it can ruin your life. I was a sex crimes detective and involved in a lot of sexual abuse cases, rape cases, and you can take that stuff home with you. And one thing you need to learn as a law enforcement officer in whatever department you're with, in the homicides. I've gone to multiple shootings. There was a shooting in West Anaheim where I think it was 6 people were shot, and I was one of the first people to get there and seeing the doctors and the nurses that were shot and killed, and the guy who ended up killing himself. So as you're walking over the bodies and finding these bodies all over the hospital, that you can leave that. So imagine going to that scene, right? You go to the scene, you see all these people killed. I ended up having to go in the emergency room, operating room, as one of the doctors who was shot in the head, I believe, as his friends, his fellow doctors and nurses were operating him, trying to save his life, were crying while they were trying to save his life, knowing that they probably weren't going to be able to. and they end up dying. And I'm in the emergency room with the mask on, the scrubs on, because I have to be there for the evidence discovery as they're pulling the bullets out of his body, and watching them sobbing and crying hysterically as they are trying to save his life. And then he dies, and then having to make sure that I preserve the evidence in that process, being in that room and that kind of stuff. Now you understand that we work a 9-hour shift. It's not like you do that and then you go see a psychologist or nothing. You have your shift, right? All that happens, and then you leave and you go home, right? Hi, honey. Hi, daughter. Give them a hug and a kiss, and they go, "How was your day?" "Oh, my day was fine." And then you have dinner, and then you go to bed, and you wake up and you go to work the next day, right? There's nothing that protects you and your brain from the stress of being at a call where multiple people are shot. You're in an emergency room collecting evidence as people are crying as they're trying to save their friend and he dies. And then you collect that evidence, you take it to the police department, you book it into evidence, right? You write all the forms, right? Very secretarial or whatever it is, or, very, I don't know, just it's like a daily routine. And then you go home. Right. Some people go to work and they, work on a computer, they sell a house, they sell a car, whatever. But we have to leave a scene of multiple dead people, booking evidence of bullets in a way that it can be preserved and into evidence, and so that it gets processed through the laboratory. And then we go, "Okay, good night, everybody." And then we go home and say, "Hello, honey." And then give your kids a kiss and you go to bed, right? This is what happens on a daily basis. And so that's why I'm telling you that I know that we can recover from the death, the separation, the divorce, and everything that we're going through, and the quarantine and the loss of income, and then come out of this on a positive note. You just have to change your perspective, right? You just have to change the way that you think about it, that this is now, and this is my future. What is it you want from your future? What I want in my future is I want healthy relationships. I want my children to be successful. I want my children and I to love each other. And I want them to be there when I need them. And I want to be there when they need me. And then you move forward. So we need to get through all this death, separation, divorce, everything that's happening, the quarantine, that kind of stuff. All right. So I'm looking through some of the comments here. David, thank you for joining. I'm assuming you guys are back from the river. I didn't see whether you were back or not. But Lisa for joining. Nabucco from Japan. I thought I saw Nabi on here, but maybe he wasn't on here. And David. All right. So it was so funny to see the numbers go. They were like huge numbers when I first signed in, right? When I first logged in. And then now we're down to like 6 people watching. Now we're down to 4. And I got 1 thumbs up. If you're watching the replay, make sure that you say hi. Just give me your thoughts. Give me your thoughts on what it is you think about this whole thing, and lay it out. What is it? Did I not strike a chord? Do you never want to see me ever have a beer on Facebook? Quarantine live or not? Because I'm thinking about having another drinking show. I'm hoping David and Michelle and April and some other people that like Joe, we're gonna have another drinking show where we'll have a game of name that tune as we move forward. But just want to share some of that stuff. I know it's tough for everybody. I know we're all going through tough times, but it's all a point of your attitude. What is it you're going to do to come out of this positively and change the direction that we're going? All right. So that's it. I will talk to you guys later. And some of you, I will talk to you before then. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.